everybody. I'm Jesse Weber in for Ashleigh. Good to be with all of you tonight. A lot of big news tonight, not just in crime and justice, we'll get to that, but also in mysteries. You know that unknown cylinder caught on video from an airplane window speeding through the skies over New York? It has lit the internet on fire. I'm sure you've seen it. We are going to break that video down for you right here tonight with expert analysis, try to make sense of what that is. Also, 1 year after a mysterious flash in the sky, all captured on body cam in Las Vegas, the family is finally speaking out. And we are going to be bringing you more of an exclusive conversation that NewsNation's Alex Capriello had with this teenager who called 911 to report, yes, non-human creatures in his family's backyard. Only 39 minutes after that bright flash. He says what happened that night was just the beginning of unusual phenomenon around that home. We'll talk about that. And then, got to get this, Harvey Weinstein's conviction in New York has been overturned. Yes. But what exactly does that mean for both him and his victims? It doesn't mean he's a free man. We're going to break down how it happened, whether or not it was the right decision. Weinstein's defense lawyers will join me live with their take, and we're going to hear the reaction of two women who claim to be survivors of Weinstein, what their reaction is as well. Plus, 5 suspects now behind bars for the deaths of 2 women in Oklahoma. Police say one has confessed, another has indicated her responsibility for double murder. Is it possible that any of them will ever see the light of day again? Will they have a defense? That's going to be coming up. But we begin tonight with that unidentified object seen over New York City, captured on video by an airplane passenger named Michelle Reyes as she was just shooting the skyline from her window seat. And you see this cylinder-shaped object that just zips past her window, high rate of speed. It's above LaGuardia Airport, and it concerned her so much that she contacted authorities, including the FAA, reported it to the National UFO Database. Michelle Reyes actually shared her experience with Ashleigh just last night.
I had posted the video onto my social media, and one of the other moms on the flight, she said that she had noticed it when she was in the air too. So I wasn't the only one who saw it. So it was kind of, a little more like nerve-wracking that someone else also saw what I saw.
Now, look, we all know anything can be fake these days, but initial analysis by experts suggests this video isn't fake. For this, I turn to Jim Quirk. He is a reporter, host, and creator of the Extraterrestrial Reality podcast. He and evidence expert and crime scene reconstructionist Scott Roeder, they recently examined and broke down the famous Las Vegas alien video from last June. We're going to have more on that in a little bit. Jim Quirk, good to have you. All right, what is it? I mean, I got no other way to get into it. What is going on here? What is it?
Well, obviously it is something that's real. I also want to say thank you for having me on here tonight, Jesse. It is something that's real. It's obviously was something that's there flying through the sky. Now there's debunkers all over Twitter right now trying to say that it's just a balloon. Okay, well, they're going to have to come up with a better proof than what they're just saying it's a balloon. It's not outside the realm of possibilities that it could be something that's operated by a non-human intelligence. This is similar to things that a UFO that was sighted over O'Hare Airport in Chicago back in 2006, in November of 2006. There was over a dozen people that saw something there. And here we have in New York now. I don't think it could possibly be something that's a military test. I mean, why are they going to fly something really close to a commercial airline that's in the sky? That's ridiculous.
Don't you find it strange that, I think Ms. Reyes said that there was another person on the plane who observed it. It's pretty high up. It's going at a high rate of speed. I haven't heard anybody else with videos of this. I find it strange that it's by the plane, by an airport. You mentioned the 2006 incident. Do you find the location of where it is interesting?
Well, it's interesting because it seems like these beings, they apparently, if it is extraterrestrial, it's a possibility. I know a lot of people out there will say, oh, there's no evidence to this, but no, it is a possibility. People need to learn to start realizing this, that there is something here actually. And it could be, they could be interested in what we're doing and how we operate in our airports. Who knows? But who knows what's going on? Who knows why? There's no real answer as to why it would be there, but I think it's definitely possible that it could be non-human intelligent operated craft. There's no question in my mind that that's a possibility, and it shouldn't be poo-pooed away like debunkers like to say.
I'll tell you this much. I don't think that's a bug. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think that's a bug. You mentioned 2006, the Chicago O'Hare incident. What was observed, is that similar to what this is?
Well, that craft in Chicago was just hovering there. There was like over a dozen people, airline employees, airport employees, along with some customers that saw this, and there was a picture taken with a cell phone, at least one picture that I know of, and it's something that for sure it could have been, checking out the airport, checking out our technology, trying to get a handle on what we're doing and how we operate. I mean, the FAA, by the way, they never investigated it. They said it didn't show up on their radar, so it's no point in investigating it. And they said it was a weather phenomenon. I don't think it was. I think it was a craft hovering in the sky. There was a lot of witnesses that saw it. And here we have something that's pretty clear. This is a lot clearer than the image that you're showing on the screen right now of the object in Chicago. Our technology has improved now. We could take better pictures now.
I want your reaction to something. Yesterday, UFO researcher Ben Hansen, first alerted to the sighting, said that initial analysis suggests this video is real, that it's not fake. I want to play a bit of what he told Ashleigh last night, and then I'll get your reaction to it.
We've now started to analyze the video. And I feel a little awkward saying this with her here, but find no evidence that she faked this or hoaxed it. I didn't from the beginning, but we had to run it through, the proper, data analysis, and it's there. It's very clear, which is unusual. So to me, I feel as though this is probably something not terribly far in the distance, but there's problems with the theory of it being something as simple as an insect, which I would suspect this was happening, on the ground. We're talking 200 plus miles an hour at this point. Her jet is flying. So it passes in about 1/7 of a second, and it's present in 5 frames of the video.
So what happens next? What happens next? If we take this video as real, what happens next in an investigation like this?
Well, I don't know. There's not much. What could you really do here? I mean, you could have people look at it and people are going to have their opinions, but how could you prove what it is? This is definitely not a hoax. I mean, she saw this, obviously. She filmed it, obviously. There was another witness that saw it. She talked about that. She contacted the FAA. I'm certain that there's probably people in the government who probably suspect what it probably is. So I don't know where you take anything like this. How do you
I tell you what happens. Want to know what happens now? A lot of people take out their phones on landings, especially going into LaGuardia Airport, and they're going to try to capture something that they see, because I think that's what's going to happen next. Jim Quirk, thanks so much. Appreciate your insight.
Thank you very much.
Well, switching gears a little bit, it has been nearly a year since that incident in Las Vegas that I mentioned, and the family has finally decided to speak out. In an exclusive interview with NewsNation's national correspondent, Alex Capriello, talked to 17-year-old Angel Kenmore about that night, I should say. And Alex Capriello joins me right now, live from Las Vegas. Alex, good to see you. I have to ask you, what are you making? Because there's something really interesting about this. And it's that last night it was reported there was more strange activity in and around the home. What is going on here?
Right. The story goes that just about a year ago, the Kenmore family saw these mysterious, unidentifiable creatures in their backyard right here behind me, right? They said that they were 10-foot tall creatures, that they were standing there looking at them. They could see them breathing. Angel says that he was actually growling at him, freaking them out so much that they actually called 911. Well, it turns out that these unidentified, unexplainable phenomenon didn't just stop at that night. Angel went into great detail with me during our one-on-one conversation about other paranormal activity that's been happening, but this time inside of their house. It goes beyond just seeing shadows and hearing whispers. These are really freaky things that he told me during our exclusive conversation. Take a listen. You mentioned paranormal activity. What exactly did you see?
Well, I was in another room. My brother called me, and there was a upside-down cross, and there was a Jesus statue on it. They ripped Jesus out of it, they threw him across the room, and it was floating upside down.
Are you saying floating in the air?
Yeah, in the air. It was floating upside down.
What did you do? I mean, did you go pick it up? Did you knock it down?
No, I didn't do nothing. I was just sitting there. I was crazy. I was like, what?
But how did it come down? It's not still floating right now, is it?
No, it came down. So we got closer to it and then it dropped.
It fell to the ground. A crucifix
Yeah.
Floating in the air, upside down. The Jesus on the crucifix had been ripped off.
Yeah.
And it was floating.
Yeah.
And you can say definitively, without lies, that is what you saw.
Yes. Swear to God, that's what I saw.
Okay, and what about the Bible? What did you tell me about the Bible?
Oh, yeah, the Bible. So I was chilling normal. There was just a Bible just going like this, flipping the pages. But it was like steady. Like it wasn't because of the air. It was steady. Like somebody was holding it. As soon as I got close to it, it dropped again. It just dropped again.
It's inside your house, not outdoors. No wind.
It's inside, yeah.
No wind factor. But the page is steadily turning on the Bible.
Yeah.
And you have the same justification for that as well? Demonic presence?
Yeah, I can see demonic presence, yeah.
The pages of the Bible were moving on their own and an actual crucifix hanging upside down?
Yeah. So, we had a couple of priests come over to the house, pray over the house, and everything seems to be normal again.
Are you connecting all these things together, everything you saw in your backyard, to the things you've experienced over these past few months?
Yeah, to be honest, yeah, I think so. I still have an explanation of what it is, still pretty weird. And I have no clue what it is.
What did the priest say when they actually came to your house?
They're saying that it might be fallen angels, like demons or fallen angels, something like that.
Fallen angels inside your home.
Yeah, that was pretty creepy.
How does it make you feel about living here still?
Right now I feel good, There's a lot of time priests came over, but whatever happened on last year May, that was pretty scary, man. I was pretty traumatized and stuff like that.
What does that look like to you? You said you're traumatized. I don't want to make you relive it.
Yeah.
What is that like?
It's pretty bad, man. You can't sleep, Not to sound like a crybaby, but, you cry most of the time when you think about it. You get flashbacks. Not a good experience.
With all of the paranormal activity happening inside your house, are you thinking about moving away?
Oh, yeah. Soon I'm going to move away from this house, yeah.
Everybody or just you?
Everybody, I think.
You guys are done with this place?
Yeah.
What do you say to the people who believe that your family just made this whole thing up to try to get attention?
They could believe whatever they want, I'm not doing it for fame. If I did it for fame, I would be on YouTube and stuff like that, doing more videos, but I don't care, guys. I just went on TikTok and YouTube, made my story.
And while we certainly have Angel's story to go off of, other people here in this neighborhood have also filled in some of the gaps and some of the things that they found freaky about that night that those two unidentified beings were seen by the Kenmore family in their backyard. For example, a guy who lives just right down the street just saw us out here on the side of the road and began talking to us, and he remembered that night as well. He said that for some bizarre reason, his TV all of a sudden stopped working at that time, that his surveillance cameras no longer were working, his lights were shutting off. So put all of this together, the Kenmore sighting, what the neighbors are reporting, not to mention what those Las Vegas police officers saw on those body-worn cameras, that flash of light streak across the sky 39 minutes before that 911 call. It really is an unexplainable phenomenon happening here in Las Vegas, Jesse.
It's bizarre. Alex, you mentioned the police. Is the Las Vegas Metro Police Department investigating this?
Yeah, that's a great question and something that I was really trying to get a good answer for. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you, Jesse. I reached out to them because I really wanted to speak to those police officers who actually came here to the Kenmore house that night, right? We've seen that video of the streaking light flashing across the sky, seen on those body-worn cameras. I want to hear what they saw that night. I want to gauge their reaction to the Kenmore family and to speaking to Angel Kenmore that night. Unfortunately, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department says that they have no desire to speak on this subject anymore.
Weird stuff, but great reporting from Alex Capriello. Alex, thanks so much. Good seeing you.
Thanks, Jesse.
Well, as of today, Harvey Weinstein is no longer guilty for his sex crimes in New York State. Yep, you heard me right. The disgraced Hollywood filmmaker's 2020 trial came to light at the height of the Me Too movement when sexual assault victims and scores of celebrities spoke out against him. But the whole thing is officially awash because of procedural errors. According to New York's highest court, the trial made two big mistakes. But what about the alleged victims? Will he be tried again? His attorneys will join me next, and two women who say they were survivors of Weinstein and his abuse, they will join me later. Weinstein's conviction on sex crime charges back in New York back in 2020 was seen as a landmark victory, propelling the Me Too movement, fueling the fight around the world to bring sexual predators to justice. But today, that was undone. Yes, in the eyes of the law, Harvey Weinstein is no longer guilty of rape and criminal sexual act. No, New York State's highest court, the Court of Appeals, threw out his conviction in a stunning 4-3 decision. And it boiled down to one simple point. Harvey Weinstein did not get a fair trial. First, the court said that the trial judge in the case made a crucial mistake by allowing 3 women to testify that Weinstein had assaulted them, but these women and their accusations were not part of the actual charges that Weinstein faced. The court said that their testimony was prejudicial, it was improper propensity evidence, and number 2, the court found that Weinstein couldn't really exercise his right to testify because he was improperly discouraged from doing so when the trial court judge ruled that prosecutors would be able to cross-examine Weinstein on a slew of prior bad acts, things he wasn't even charged for, things like screaming at people or attacking his brother. The court said that was wrong. Now, the ruling, to be clear, does not set the 72-year-old free. No, he remains behind bars because of his 2022 rape conviction out in California. And in a few moments, we're going to be hearing from both sides, Weinstein's accusers as well as his attorneys. But first, I may shock you when I say this, but in my opinion, overturning Weinstein's conviction was the right decision. I say that as an attorney, and I say that as someone who was in that courtroom for that trial almost every day. But I want to make things really clear. This is not a defense of Harvey Weinstein. I'm not saying that he's innocent. This is about his right to a fair trial, like every criminal defendant is entitled to in this country. This is why it is so important that trial courts make sure to stay within the guardrails. Otherwise, this can happen. And this is exactly why we have the appeals process to correct mistakes that should never have occurred. Joining me right now are 2 of Harvey Weinstein's attorneys. Behind that appeal are Donna Rotuno and Arthur Aidala. Great to have you both here. Congratulations to you both. Donna, I will start with you because I spoke to Harvey earlier today. I spoke to Arthur earlier today. Wow. But Donna, I'm going to speak to you. I haven't seen you in quite some time. Congratulations. Were you shocked by this? Were you surprised by this? And if you can tell us, what was Harvey Weinstein's reaction to it?
Well, hi, Jesse. Thanks for having me. Hi, Arthur. Good to see you. Such a great day. It's a great day for justice, Jesse. I agree with you. This was the right decision. And anyone who sat in that courtroom every day would admit that to us on a regular basis. He did not get a fair trial. The court definitely made mistakes in allowing certain pieces of evidence in. And at the end of the day, we're thrilled. I'm thrilled for Arthur and his team. We all worked really hard together, whether it was the trial court, whether it was the appeal, and this is a great day for all of us. So thank you.
Well, and Arthur, good to see you. I'm going to go to you now because, look, you heard my take. I agree that this was the right decision from a legal point of view, but I want your take on the opposite side of this because if we could put this up, this is a statement from Douglas Wigdor, who represents several of the Weinstein's accusers.
Very good friends with Donna Rotuno. Him and Donna are like buddies. They're really tight.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or not. I think you're probably not.
I think you can figure it out.
Well, here's the thing. If we could put it up, it says today's decision is a major step back in holding those accountable for acts of sexual violence. Courts routinely admit evidence of other uncharged acts where they assist juries in understanding issues concerning the intent, MO, or scheme of the defendant. The jury was instructed on the relevance of this testimony, and overturning the verdict is tragic in that it will require the victims to endure yet another trial. What's your take on that, Arthur?
Well, those factors weren't an issue here. The modus operandi, that all goes to identification. And, you know, in Donna's summation, she never said that, oh, it wasn't Harvey, they got the wrong guy. It was just that what they're saying happened, it didn't happen. There was an act, and it was a consensual act, and it was years later when people said it wasn't a consensual act. So, and I think Mr. Wigdor is actually referring to a lot of federal law, and this is not a federal case. This is a state case. So, 4 judges of the Court of Appeals disagreed with his analysis. And, what Donna said about it being a great day, this really, obviously, Jesse, is about Harvey Weinstein, obviously. But I cannot tell you how many messages I have gotten from criminal defense attorneys in the state of New York, total strangers and others that I know, like, thank you, because judges were citing People v. Weinstein as a precedent to allow all kinds of evidence in, and that ended today.
before I even get into what could happen with the New York case, this, Donna, brings me to something else. It's a big decision. The idea of that these witnesses shouldn't have been allowed to testify, and that, you know, his right hands were essentially tied because if he took the stand, he would have been hit with all of these questions. Does this affect the L.A. case, Donna? Does this affect his ability to get that conviction overturned as well?
I think it does. I think, Jesse, if you look at what happened in L.A., when you seat a jury of 12 people in a courtroom, and that courtroom knows that another court has convicted you, right? You'd have to live under a rock if you didn't know that Harvey Weinstein was convicted in New York. When we tried to pick a jury in New York, there wasn't one person out of the thousands of people that we questioned that did not know who he was and did not know about this circumstance. So in Los Angeles, that jury knew that Harvey Weinstein had already been convicted of a crime. How does that not change the way they look at the evidence and the lens at which they look at the evidence? On top of that, you have to look at the sentence. And when the judge sentenced him, I'm sure the judge took into consideration the fact that he was sentenced somewhere else. So he didn't walk into the court in L.A. as someone with zero background. So that affects your sentence. So I think it will have to affect the appeal in L.A. And I think, from what I understand, the appellate rules and the laws and things that they have to go on in L.A. are strong for Harvey.
Well, Arthur, let's talk about New York, right? Because the million-dollar question now is he going to be retried? And we have to be clear about this, right? His conviction was overturned, but he was not acquitted. So in the eyes of the law, he could still be retried for this. He could still go to trial and be convicted again. The question I have is, if he goes to a trial again, and also, you know, Alvin Bragg kind of made the statement that they would try to retry this. And it really depends if the accusers want to come back and testify again. But if this goes to trial again and these Molyneux witnesses are not allowed to testify, if there are not these restrictions put on Harvey Weinstein to testify, if this goes to trial again, do you think he could be acquitted? Or do you think that, because the facts don't change with their account?
Yes. Well, to answer the exact question you asked me, whether I think he could be acquitted, absolutely. Because those jurors, and I know technically it was 3 Molyneux witnesses, but there was this other one, Occhini, whatever. She was like a 4th that they slipped in. So his ruling was 3 other witnesses besides the 3 he was charged with could testify. But then they stuck in a 4th one. So it was 3 women who he's charged with, and then there's 4 more, so it becomes 7. Under this, the way I see things going forward, if Bragg decides to go forward, it's going to be 1. It's going to be 1 woman. I mean, literally, the trial could be 1 week after you pick a jury. I mean, there's not going to be a lot of witnesses at all. So I do think he can get acquitted.
And yes. Arthur, do you think he's going to retry it?
I don't know. I honestly think it's a lot of this is going to have to do with the complainant, and as Donna probably saw as well, Gloria Allred, another one of Donna's friends. You know, she's got a very interesting cast of characters she hangs out with in Chicago. She has said that she spoke to the woman, Mimi Haley, and she, quote unquote, would consider testifying again.
And let's be clear.
I think Alvin Bragg will be guided by her.
It would be very tough, right? They would have to go back, relive this, face cross-examination. But Donna, I want to go back to something that we didn't get addressed before. Have you spoken to Harvey Weinstein? Or Arthur, have you spoken to him? Because we love a reaction. I mean, what was his reaction to this news?
I spoke to him. I found out at like 9:02, 9:03. You know, Jesse, we were told by a clerk who obviously had the wrong information that no more decisions from the Court of Appeals were coming out until May 16th. Yeah. So we were totally caught flat-footed when the decision came out today. So we had I spoke to Donna and then her partner Damon, like almost immediately. Yeah. So around 10 o'clock, Harvey called me, and, he was profuse with the thank yous and right. Thank God. And, he said, from day one how innocent I was. I always said I was innocent. I said at the trial I was innocent. Today, again, I say I'm innocent, and now I'm going to get to prove my case fairly. I said, how'd you find out? And he said that someone came into him in the facility where he was and just handed him a piece of paper but didn't say anything. He didn't know what it was. And he looks at the paper and it's a headline from, I think, the Associated Press that just said, Weinstein conviction reversed.
Right.
And that was, it was off to the races after that.
All right. Well, we will see the next steps in this. Donna Rotuno, good to see you again. Arthur Aidala, good to see you again. Thanks to both of you for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jesse.
All right. So we are always going to play two sides here. We're always going to give you both perspectives. So on the other side of this legal equation are Harvey Weinstein's victims, because it was a tough day for them. Two of his accusers are here, including one who helped convict him out in Los Angeles. They join me next.
Adulthood. That's why vaccines matter so much. For 40 years, Rotary and partners have delivered vaccines globally. Like here and even here, in your neighborhood and around the world, Rotary is ensuring children grow up safe from preventable diseases.
My name is Joel, and I came to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in December of 1987 to be treated for osteosarcoma, which is bone cancer. We didn't know anything about St. Jude. We didn't know what they meant, or that, when we got here, what we would do, how it would be taken care of. And when we arrived, we found out that my family wasn't going to have to pay for any of my treatment, not for my medicine, not for travel, not for housing, not for food. St. Jude was going to cover all that. St. Jude supported me in every way, from, taking that financial burden off my parents to making sure that all of my family was included in this time. St. Jude literally means everything to me. I get to go home to my family tonight. I get to cook dinner for them. That's what you're giving. You are giving us everything by supporting St. Jude, so thank you so much.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
The key to unlock the next breakthrough in cancer research could be sitting in your driveway. Stand Up to Cancer's vehicle donation program makes it easy to turn your unwanted vehicle into funding to support innovative cancer research. So when you're looking to get rid of your old car, truck, motorcycle, RV, or boat, why not donate it to Stand Up to Cancer? You can be a driving force in cancer research. Donate your car today. Visit standuptocancer.org/cars to learn more.
More than 6 million kids in the U.S. have ADHD, and many aren't getting the support they need. At understood.org, we know that parents want to help, especially when their child has questions like,
why am I always falling behind? Why do I feel so alone?
We provide parents with the resources they need to help kids with ADHD thrive. Your child wants to thrive. Be the reason they do. Visit understood.org/thereason to get started.
You're listening to Banfield on NewsNation. To find NewsNation on your screen, go to joinnn.com.
Retirement can be scary, but only if you're not prepared. That's why AARP created thisispretirement.org. Because unless you've already retired, you're in pretirement, and you still have time to plan. Learn about retirement savings options, potential tax breaks, and how you can build savings over time. Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan and feel the retirement fear disappear. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
This summer, the Games will bring us together to celebrate our nation's athletes, their sacrifices, resilience, and unwavering passion. Because at the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, we believe athletes are defined by their journey, not the medals they win. And creating a safer stage for all levels of competition is our priority, from the practice fields in your town to the podium in Paris. Join the movement to end abuse at uscenterforsafesport.org.
You say you never give in to a meltdown and never fill your feed with kid photos. You say you'd never put a pacifier in your mouth to clean it and never let them run wild through the grocery store. So when you say you'd never let them get into a car without you there, no, it can happen. 1 in 4 hot car deaths happen when a kid gets into an unlocked car and can't get out. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Who's represented 8 of Harvey Weinstein's accusers, calls the decision to overturn his New York rape conviction a major step back. And other accusers, or as some prefer to be called, silence breakers, are also weighing in. Louisette Geis is a former actress who says that while pitching a screenplay to Weinstein in 2008, he stripped naked, got in a hot tub, asked that she watch him pleasure himself, 2022, Geis shared that experience on the witness stand in Weinstein's sex crimes trial in California, and she helped to convict him. Paula Williams was an aspiring actress and model when she attended what she thought was a dinner party at Weinstein's home back in 1990. Instead, she says he was alone when she got there and exposed himself. I'm joined right now by Louisette Geis and Paula Williams. I can't thank you both enough for coming here. I know that this is an incredibly emotionally charged day, and I also can imagine that was very difficult to hear from Harvey Weinstein's side. Paula, I will start with you. How are you feeling today? What is your reaction to this news? And again, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Jesse. Well, I was shocked, and I'm on the West Coast, so it was pretty early in the morning. It was before my coffee, so it wasn't good. I was immediately shocked, and then I was confused. So I had to do a lot of reading and turning on the news and listening to what was going on and trying to figure out how this happened.
Yeah. And Louisette, let me ask you, you played such a pivotal role in the conviction of Harvey Weinstein out in L.A. You see what happened in New York. Again, I can't thank you enough for coming on. I know this isn't easy. What is your feeling? What is your reaction to this news today? Because I know it must be very fresh.
Well, my reaction after just watching what you played is even more anger than I had this morning. I think, when you have played a role in taking down such a serial predator, you know how challenging it is to do that and how much of a toll it takes on you and your family and friends. And to witness what happened today is just really egregious.
And talking about that, Louisette, because you testified in the LA case, and as I was talking about with Harvey Weinstein's attorneys, that appeal is still pending. In light of what happened today, are you concerned that his LA conviction will now be overturned?
I am concerned, but at the end of the day, it was a completely different case. They had heard about these appeals coming down the pike. They tried to do things differently, and also California has different rules, as we know. This is state by state. So that being said, yes, I think we're always concerned. The whole reason I even testified against him is because Cosby's out. So if Cosby's out, anything's on the table, I feel. And, if we're willing to let him go, I knew that it was important and imperative that I step up and I say something and be part of that case. So listen, he still has 16 years here in Los Angeles, and we can't wait to have him in our prisons.
And Paul, let's be very clear. I mentioned this before. He's not innocent. He was not acquitted. He was not exonerated. This is not a case of a murderer where the real killer comes out and says, I did it, and the man walks free. No, he could easily be retried again. Maybe not easily, but he could definitely legally be retried again. Having said that, with this decision, what do you think this message is for people out there, other victims, future victims? It was the height of Me Too movement. It was talking about how the ability to come forward against powerful people. This decision, what effect do you think it's going to have?
Well, of course it's not good, and I want to say don't get discouraged. I'm worried about what kind of precedent this might send. Let's be real here. He's not innocent. He's a rapist. He's a serial rapist. And if 100 women that come out and are on record saying this can't get a rapist convicted, what's going on? We need to do a lot of work here. And I understand it was a technicality. And I'm all for, we all need a free trial. But maybe you can help me understand this. Why were these women even able to testify if something like this could happen? It almost seems very bizarre.
So Paula, that was something I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask both of you this. But the question is, I was critical of the judge's decision because I cover high-profile cases, I cover murder cases, I cover sexual assault cases. And if mistakes are made at the trial level, the worst thing that could happen is to the victims in the case. Because if the judge makes a mistake, this can very well happen. And I was critical of the judge doing this because I thought this might happen, that a higher court would overturn the conviction. And I'm curious that the high court said that this trial judge made a mistake, shouldn't have done it. Do you have any anger are you disappointed in the trial judge, Paula?
Well, back to the victims, like you said, what I'm really disappointed in is, it's hard for these victims to testify.
Right.
It's gut-wrenching, and they get put through the ringer, as you know. So my heart bleeds for them because they didn't do this for nothing. And, maybe they're going to have to do it again. And life's too short, right? This is not a rewarding thing for any of us. And I know in the beginning, a lot of people thought, there was money or fame or whatever, but it was nothing like that. And so you have to really want to make change, to speak out.
And Louisette, look, people haven't thought about Harvey Weinstein in quite some time, and now they see this and they might think erroneously, oh my gosh, he's innocent. I think it's important, if you can, briefly explain your experience with him and what people should know about Harvey Weinstein from your perspective.
Well, there's, 700 pages, I think, online about what happened with he and I. But I think what's more important is to understand that there are so many women who never came forward. I mean, literally, I live in LA. I've gone to the park here near my house with my children and met two women, and we've gotten into the conversation. And both those women had a horrible experience with Weinstein. One raped, one not raped, but was scared out of her mind. So my point being is that, listen, I also agree. I was raised by a lawyer. I agree. You need a fair trial. Okay, I do agree with that. But, we have really got to get it straight, state to state, because when you're dragging these victims through this, and myself included, I mean, I did a lot of work before I testified. It was extremely upsetting. I didn't sleep, etc. And, these kinds of things impact us and our families. And, I did a lot of work to be as whole and happy and fulfilled with my children so that I don't bring it to their table. But that being said, it should not be on us. We were already the ones who were victimized, right? Yeah. So now to have to go through this again is what's really the challenge. And again, there are so many women who did not come forward because they were scared. We all were scared. But I'll tell you what, after watching what I just watched right now, I think the only beauty is that it's going to light a fire for all of us. And we need to, stop, take a breather. It's okay. He has the 16 years, hopefully. And if not, we all need to keep standing up. I mean, obviously, this is not going away until we really scream about it more.
And that's interesting you say that, Louisette, because the whole conversation is, would these accusers, the three complainants in the New York case, would they come back? Would they testify again? You mentioned how difficult that would be. If, for example, the L.A. case was overturned, would you be able to testify again? Do you think they're going to testify again? Because I think the case is all decided about whether or not they want to come forward and tell another jury about what happened.
I agree. I mean, I think it's up to each person. And I have to tell you, like you, I was happily not even thinking of Weinstein until this morning. No. I was happy to see him go bye-bye. But that being said, I will tell you that as a mom and as a woman who believes in victims' rights and a woman who has experienced these challenging things firsthand, I will stand up because I just cannot sit around and know that Cosby and Weinstein are going to pray and dine in Los Angeles again. It ain't going to happen on my watch.
All right. Well, listen, I can't thank you both enough for coming here. I encourage everybody. Also, Paula is on the board of directors for a sexual assault center. So I encourage everybody who wants to learn more information to check that out.
Can I just give a shout out to them?
Yes, please. Please, Paula.
They're called Rebuilding Hope, and you can go to rebuildinghope.org.
Thank you. Listen, Paula Williams, Louisette Geis, really appreciate it. I know it wasn't easy, but thank you for coming on and giving some perspective on today.
Thank you.
Now, listen, if you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, there's help. You can call the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 1-800-656-4673-HOPE. Still to come, devastating news for the suspects in the Oklahoma mom murders. The fifth suspect, Paul Grice, allegedly confessed to everything. And it seems like he derailed most of the group's possible defenses, right? Well, there might be something they can do to change the game, maybe even win their freedom. We'll discuss.
Directly to your smartphone. Manage your diabetes with more confidence and lower your A1C. The #1 CGM prescribed in the U.S. Try it for free at freestylelibre.us.
Well, it is back to the drawing board for God's misfits. Grandma Tiffany Adams, her boyfriend Tad Collum, and Cole and Corey Twombly might need to rethink their defense strategy now that one of the other group members has seemingly confessed to everything. Yes, it was announced yesterday that Paul Grice, a fifth suspect in the murders of Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly, was arrested, and he's talking. According to the arrest affidavit, Grice was interviewed and admitted that he was part of the planning and killing of both Butler and Kelly. Grice admitted that he participated in the killing of Butler and Kelly and their subsequent burial. All 5 of the suspects face the same charges: 2 counts of murder in the first degree, 2 counts of kidnapping, 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder in the first degree. All of them felonies. Not easy to wriggle out from under those, but is there anything that Grandma Tiffany's gang of, 5, can say or do to get the death penalty off the table? Anything where they could walk free? Well, I'm joined right now by trial attorney Dante Mills, who I have given the impossible task of trying to answer that question. Dante, good to see you. Here's where I struggle. First, let's talk about the first-degree murder. Can they get past it? We both know that it's not just intent. There's a thing called felony murder, right? So if someone dies during the commission of a kidnapping, they could still be convicted of murder. They didn't even have to intend to kill him. How did they get past first-degree murder?
Well, nothing is impossible, right? We'll start with that, except maybe this. When you have somebody that's talking, that's always the issue, and officers know that. When investigators show up, they arrest you. The first thing they do, they read you their rights, and then they ask you, do you want to help yourself, right? And they give you the opportunity to talk because they know how important it is. If you start going into details about the crime, that kind of locks you in and provides them all the evidence they need, and that may be what happened here.
What would a deal look like? I mean, if they're all involved in this heinous crime, would it be, hey, you give us what we need, you testify against the other bunch, we'll take the death penalty off the table? Because I can't imagine it's anything lower than life in prison or the death penalty. It's not like they're going to get 10 years for this if you cooperate.
Well, maybe, because here's the thing. Like you said, if this was a gruesome crime.
Yeah.
If they committed this crime and if they planned it, then they may get the death penalty. This is a case that the prosecution, the investigators are going to want hemmed up and sewn together completely. Their only way to do that, because you do have to show planning. Otherwise, this is a situation where people were...
Do you need to show planning?
Issues.
You need to show intent to kill. You need to show deliberation. I mean, isn't it enough that the phone, these burner phones that they allegedly bought, tracked to the car that was abandoned by the victims, that the search history for Miss Adams showed stun gun purchases or burner phones? You have a teenage witness. One of the teenage daughters is one of the biggest witnesses saying, yeah, they basically confessed. I mean, do you even need the testimony of any of them?
You do, because here's the thing. Investigators can know what happened because they're good investigators, but you still have to put that information in front of the jury. So It's one thing if you want to piece that together with an investigator coming and saying, hey, we have this phone showing this and that. It's much different and much easier if you have a witness coming and saying, I was a part of it. I can tell you firsthand that I was in that room when we decided that we were going to kill this person and ultimately these 2 people.
You want me to throw a little curveball at you? Self-defense. You might be saying, what are you talking about here?
I'm not.
You know, because here's the idea, right? We know that a pistol magazine was found in the handbag of Jillian Kelly. You might be saying they bought stun guns. They didn't buy knives. They didn't buy handguns, as far as we know yet, right? Maybe they came to abduct them. Maybe they came to have a talk with them. But they didn't go to kill them. And perhaps Jillian Kelly started it, and they defended themselves. It's hard for me to even say. Is that a real defense?
It is a real defense, and I'll tell you why. One, it came out today that there were no gunshot wounds. That's
right.
Initially
we
how
don't know
they
the
thought
cause
they
of death,
died.
though.
We don't know the cause of death, but there were no gunshot wounds. That means you would imagine, presumably, they didn't bring guns to kill. Doesn't mean they didn't bring anything else, but they didn't. This was also a dispute from both sides, where both sides had words, both sides had exchanges. And you can say, well, we were going to meet her. Yes, we were mad at her, but we were going to curse her out. We were going to, really be angry with her. She pulled out a gun and we had to defend ourselves. That's why the planning and having somebody who was in on the planning is so important, because it takes away that defense.
Real quick, 15 seconds. Do you see a scenario where they're not all convicted or they're not all acquitted, but some are convicted and some are acquitted?
I see a scenario where one person spills the beans and gets a lighter sentence, and then everybody else either does life in jail or gets the death penalty.
Impossible task. I think we'll start with that. Dante Mills, good seeing you. Thanks so much, my friend. I appreciate it. All right, still to come. A historic criminal trial happening in New York has captured the attention of the entire world. I think you can guess which one I'm talking about. Some people say it is a perfect example of our legal system in action, while others say it is a colossal miscarriage of justice. Tonight, two people who couldn't be further apart on the political spectrum, Bill O'Reilly, Rosie O'Donnell. They will debate the merits of the case. We have a preview of their discussion up next. Does it for us tonight. What a show. We talked about aliens, well, potential aliens. We talked about the massive decision with Harvey Weinstein. And then we had a little discussion there about Oklahoma. Listen, I have to tell you, thanks so much for joining us, and thank you for allowing me to come into your homes as I fill in for Ashleigh. But you're not going to miss it, because coming up next, Chris Cuomo hosts a discussion about, no one controversial, Donald Trump and his criminal trial. But he has two people who couldn't be, I'm trying to think about it, who could be more different than Bill O'Reilly and Rosie O'Donnell? I struggle to find two different polar opposites. What do you think they have to say about the criminal trial? Well, you don't want to miss it, because that is up next. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great night.
Hey, I'm Chris Cuomo. We're really starting to get the picture of what went down in Oklahoma. The floodgates of information are opening in the case of these murdered moms. We have the lawyer for the grandmother, Tiffany Adams, accused of planning their murder. This is a first-degree murder allegation, Was this really about the custody of the grandkids or something darker? Then there was this wild scene in the courtroom in Oklahoma as the four people accused of killing Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly, the two moms, appeared for the first time. It was